All right. I'm very happy today to be speaking with Lisa Blackmon. I'm just going to jump right in. So Lisa, I know you do a plethora of things. Just tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing, and how you got started.
Sure, absolutely. Look, William, I want to tell you, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm just looking forward to this interview and just really hopefully inspiring somebody by the fact that a girl from the projects is doing something in life. And so in essence, anybody can do it. So again, my name is Lisa Blackmon. My formal career is in the area of law. And so I've been practicing about 25 years. And so that's in the area primarily of real estate. And so I do some estate planning as well, making sure people are building themselves in a place for generational wealth. And I also do some contracts. And I've recently started doing personal injury. Can you believe that? Okay, right. Who does that? But anyway, I found that that's really just one of the ways that I can expand my practice. And so we also work with nonprofits with contracts, creating contracts for them and negotiating contracts. So that's the legal side of things. And my pivot took place about 7 years ago. And the pivot is into a coaching position as well. And so that is where I position myself as a leadership coach. And I do have a company called Life Changers International, where we teach leaders how to courageously pivot into purpose, how to really lead effectively, create those kind of communities where people want to stay there, where people are heard, where they're seen, and they know that their ideas are being valued. So they want to stay in those places, and not just in corporate spaces, but also in the collegiate space, because we know that right now we're in a space where there's really not just a great resignation in the work community, but even in the educational community, people are leaving. So we want to position those leaders there to help them to keep the students there, help keep the great staff there, because, you know, great instructors create other great students and potential leaders. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. As far as how I got there, wow. I would say on the legal side, I've always been a chatty Cathy, right? I think I came out of the womb talking. And so initially I thought I was going to go into the teaching industry. And I did teach on the collegiate level for 1 year. And I thought to myself, oh, this is not what I want for my life. And so I was teaching English, which is my background. I have a degree in English, undergraduate, and my minor is in Black Studies. So I said, oh, I'll go and teach English. And I didn't like it. So it wasn't that the teaching part was so challenging, but the subject matter, that's what it really was. So I ended up going to law school, and law school provided me an opportunity to do what I like to do, and that's talk. But what I found is that even in the practice of law, I'm still teaching. I'm telling people, you know, about the necessary steps, again, to build that generational wealth, how to protect their assets. We talk to them about creating those correct contracts so they can still protect themselves. So it's still a teaching mechanism. But then again, like I said, that pivot that took place about 7 years ago, I got on Facebook one day, and this is a true story. It was December, I want to say 2015, 2016 or so. I was in the gym, and when I got off one of the elliptical machines, I said, you know what? I need to tell the people that they are great. And so I created this video, probably about 2 minutes. And I told the people, listen, there's greatness on the inside of you. You got to pursue this thing. And I don't want you to be discouraged. Go get it, kind of thing. Again, 2 minutes or so. And after that, I thought to myself, hey, I need to continue to do this. And so that was my pivot into really positioning myself on social media, where I was standing out as a person that offered encouragement and advice. And then eventually the segue happened where I started teaching more in the area of leadership, because that is truly what I really love, the area of courageous leadership. So that's pretty much how I got my start in doing things. And of course, having great support from my family, you know, my friends. My husband is my #1 cheerleader, all of that kind of good stuff. And then a strong faith system. That has really been the thing that has helped me to persevere and have resilience, because it's not that I got here overnight, and it's not that I have arrived, but having some resilience and having the faith factor to keep me coming back, getting every time there's been an obstacle, has been the thing that's really helped to keep me on track. So that's what I was, how I got going.
That's awesome, Lisa. You said a lot. Let me rewind it.
Yeah, the Cathy, remember?
you started out with being, you said you came from the projects. So from that, coming from there all the way to what you have accomplished now, tell me about some courageous leaders that were in your life that helped, you in that journey.
Absolutely. So my first hero is my mom. My mom's name is Marie. She is no longer with us, but the things that she taught me about having character, the things that she taught me about showing up for yourself. And it wasn't that she gave these lectures like, come here, sit, come here, let me just talk with you. It was what I saw. And it's one of those things in retrospect that you don't realize that you're learning until you're old enough to really begin to process it. And so she was the person that showed me that, hey, you can still do this. My mom was the first Black nurse manager at one of the local hospitals here with a 2-year nursing degree. To me, I was like, girl, you're doing the doggone thing.
Yeah.
And I can just really think about, I came from, and many people have the same testimony, what we would classify as a dysfunctional home. It was a whole trip. But at the end of the day, the hero in my story was my mom, because she would always point to this plaque when I would say, Mom, I'm disgusted, I'm tired, I'm crying. You know how we come to our parents, what are we gonna do? And I also came from what you call a blended family, meaning her husband had children and she had children when they came together. So that was a whole challenge. But she would point to this brown plaque on the refrigerator, and it had this yellow writing on it. And it said, Lord, help me to remember that nothing is going to happen today that you and I can't handle together. So for me, that has always resonated with me. That plaque was on the refrigerator. I was 9 years old, but I can still see that image. And I remember her pointing to that, reminding me, you're going to make it. Reminding me that I didn't have to be in this thing alone. And also reminding me that she was constantly cheering for me. So my mom, that was my first hero, and she still lives with me in the lessons that she's taught me. And I find myself saying things that, you know how it is. You say, I'm not going to do that when I grow up. Man, please. I'm saying some of the things that my mom said, doing some of the things that she did. And I couldn't understand it at the time, but she was teaching me wisdom. She was teaching me, again, resilience. She was teaching me perseverance. She was teaching me to be courageous. And I didn't even know it until I knew it, so to speak. So I would definitely say she was my first hero. Then, of course, we find these other mentors as we get a little bit older, and we learn, hey, we can go to conferences and learn different things. So I've studied under Lisa Nichols, gone to many of her conferences. And when I say study, I've taken, courses with her and coaching under her. And so she has been one of my heroes, so to speak, in the speaking industry, as well as Les Brown and Dr. Delatero McNeil. Those have been some of my heroes to really kind of help push me into this other space. So I would say those are the main people right now. Then, of course, we do the reading. We read Zig Ziglar, read some Tony Robbins. He's a wee bit strong for me. So, and Mama would say it like this: eat the meat and spit out the bones. And that's what we do with everything. So, and then I would say my husband. When I say strong as a rock, one of my heroes. I tell him many times he is the smartest man that I know. And sometimes he'll say, I'm smart because I chose you. I said, no, you're smart because you kept me. but yeah, he is absolutely one of my heroes, a strong example of what it is to be a father, to be present, to support other people's dreams. And when I say, if I told him, hey, you want to go to Mars, he's going to say, we need to put down a strategy or a plan. In other words, he believes in me. So I would say those are the people that are my heroes. So,
hey, that's awesome. Still following what you said in the beginning, you said you went into education. Tell me, was that out of desire to tell me what was your desire when you went into that? What was your motivation to go into education?
Yeah, so I would say education is one of those things that was always in the back of my mind. Again, like I said, I've always been a talker. You can wake me up and we're going to talk, right? So I thought education was the way, meaning the school system, the collegiate system in the classroom. And so I said to myself, this is an opportunity. When it became available, I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go in this door, because I was like, oh, I love young people, and I want to go in here and I want to change their lives. You know how that is. We think that we can just go in and this is the thing. But what I found was teaching is what I do, but you have to have the correct audience and also the correct subject matter. And so it's not that I wasn't proficient in that area. I just realized that it didn't give me that sense of joy and that peace, so to speak. I was like, something, I like this, but there's something not quite right with it.
Mhm.
And so for me, I still knew that I needed to be teaching. But again, figuring out where I needed to be teaching was the key to it. So I love being in education because I am an educator. I educate in courageous leadership, which is what I said, a little bit earlier. But again, making sure you have the right audience and making sure you're giving the good information, because impact at the end of the day, positive impact at the end of the day, is what I want to have. So I don't want to act like I'm a math teacher when I'm actually a science teacher.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The reason why I asked that question is because it seems like you also have a heart to maybe work with some leaders within the school system, within that, on the subject of leadership. Am I picking that up right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do believe that, as I began to really look at some of the colleges and universities, many of them do not offer personal development specifically in the area of leadership. And I believe that just because you get your basics, reading, writing, arithmetic, was that old school, right?
That's right.
Because you get those basics, that does not prepare you to be a leader because you've gotten a college certificate. You know, a lot of people have those graduate certificates, graduate, undergraduate, doctors, but they still have not been taught how to be a leader. And I do understand that life does teach you some of those things. But if we can create a soft skill set as people pivot into corporations, as they open their own business, even as they come back into the educational system as instructors, if we can create that system for them where they learn these basic things like emotional intelligence, learn how to have those courageous conversations, learn how to understand that it's important that you choose what really resonates with you and what really puts you in a place where you're being most effective, meaning your career. Because sometimes we live vicariously, our parents, our family live vicariously through us, and they push, meaning pushing the students into areas where they wish they had done those things. And so you'll find students sometimes that don't know how to say no and get on the correct career path for themselves. And so we want to teach them how to stand up as a leader and not be offensive and, push your family away. But you have to have a strong no in your belly sometimes, no to what they want and yes to what you've been called to do. And so I believe that, being able to teach that even with the young people is going to be effective. And then also being able to help the staff to really learn how to manage. It's a whole new generation of young people now. I mean, man, they're different from when I grew up. I graduated college in 1990. Is that right? What years? What is this? Wait a minute. Look, I have to remind myself. Yes, I graduated it was different then. We had there was some systems in place where we saw other people lead, but there were no real classes and courses and things like that to help walk us through, even learning about, like I said, time management, learning about organization, learning about how you not just interview, but really present yourself in the best light. I mean, those are some leadership and personal development qualities that I think that should be taught, so that they're not behind the eight ball and trying to figure it out, trying to learn it. They will already have at least a base and a foundation. And especially when it comes to the communication piece, that's the key thing. If you don't know how to properly communicate, then, we got some challenges. And even asking for your worth, that's a leadership thing, because you need to be confident in what you do, confident enough to ask and make a demand for your value. So that's part of what I really like to do in that leadership field, even in the collegiate spaces.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome. I think you just plugged yourself by saying that you graduated in college in 1990. Were you a 10-year-old or did you?
Graduated college in 1990, then got married in 1990. So I'm celebrating 32 years
Wow,
of marriage.
It doesn't seem like that's possible because you look very young. But going back to what you were saying about, it seems like change is in the name of your business, and it seems like this generation, because of some of the some of the struggle that happened before them, they're able to think more freely and able to conceptualize, to be able to even wrestle with the concept of doing what they want to do. And they're making choices based on that. Like they're saying, hey, I don't have to do this. I want to do something that makes a difference. And it seems like that's what it seems like what you're saying goes so well with that. It's like saying, okay, it's not so much about just choosing something that's big or but you can make a change within various industries that you get into. But it's about you being a leader in that, and like you said, it's people that's going to school because they're exceptional. It's some people that's going to, that's very smart and they're going to school, they're exceptional. But then they're being asked to conform, and they're being asked to just, but so they don't have those skills around leadership, and I think that's so important about what you're saying, like developing those skills. And I think that's a great thing that you're doing with that. So tell me a little bit about this. You transitioning, you say you made this pivot. What are some challenges when it comes to that? Because I know you were in law, and that's just like, that's owning your own business. And this is, but it's more so people come to you when they have a problem, and this is something that you gotta more promote and get out there. Tell me some challenges you have faced in this change.
Yeah, so thanks for that question. This is one of the things that I am challenged with, and that is managing my time in such a way that I'm able to really promote the other business. So I still work in the area of law. So when we get off this call, we're going back to the practice, right? So,
Yeah.
but really learning that it takes a different level of discipline to really open another company and not just have a company just for the sake of saying that I have another company, but have a thriving company where I can bring other people in to actually offer jobs. So let me just say this, part of my goal as a business owner is to make sure that I'm able to employ other people. And as I employ them, that provides for their families. And not only do they provide for their families, they're able to come in and they're able to learn and to grow, because my job is not to hold them back. It is to set them free and say, hey, what's your next? And not just to kind of kick them out of the nest, but we think about the eagles. After a while, the mom makes it really uncomfortable for them to be there, especially when she sees that there's something else in them. So my goal is to, create these companies where I'm able to bring people in, for them to train, for them to learn, and for them to really find their way in life. And if it's supposed to be that they stay with me, great. If it's not, if they're supposed to launch to the next level, my job is to applaud them, to support them, to write glowing recommendations, to make connections for them. So that's what I really want to do in those companies. But again, finding that time, being strategic, being disciplined enough to make that time. So what I have to do is really be really scheduled with my time when I get off, my 9 to 5. Then, if I don't already have some meetings planned, then I know I'm working on life changes. I know I'm working on putting out, creating social media, either ads, or I'm working on putting out videos. I mean, if you look at my Instagram, you'll see basically I'm pretty much talking about leadership. I call myself on Instagram, they're going to remember me as the lady that talks about leadership 101. So when you go to see that, that's what you will see. But time is a challenge, but everyone has the same amount of time, but we just have to be disciplined enough. And I know I've said that multiple times, but discipline is something that I think that we all have challenges with, because it's easy to sit down and Netflix. It's easy just to, start reading a book or get caught up in doing a lot of things that will steal our life, which is time, because I believe it's life. I don't believe time is money. You can accrue some more money, but you can't get any more time, which is your life. So I believe it's easy for us to get caught up in that, especially after we've had a long day. So that discipline piece, and then also making sure that I connect with the right team. That's the second challenge, the right team of people to help me get this thing really launched. So my truth is that I have hired different people, done the due diligence on them. Hey, yeah, these are good people. And it's not to not that I'm speaking to character, but speaking to them being able to perform the task that I'm hiring them for. And so I've had challenges with people that come through. That's what I've had challenges with. And so it's created this what do you call it? Stutter step in my progress in that business. So that has been a little bit of a challenge, but I do know virtual assistants and other people that help you run even in the IT area. If that's not your skill set, you need all those people really to make it happen. And so those have been a couple of challenges for me. I'm not concerned so much about a brick and mortar. I mean, I have space, but there's a whole world out there that we can reach just with, this little thing right here.
Yeah.
And so that's not so much challenge, with those two things, really just having the right team and having that discipline to work it after you've gotten off work. So it comes down to how bad do you want it? That's what it really comes down to. How bad do you want it? Will you be in the same place next year as you are now because you didn't do the work? I do believe that, 3 months from now, my future self will thank me as long as I'm disciplined. It will thank me. And although I might not see the harvest at that time, what I do know is that if I plant the seed, that time will create, the ability for the roots to get a little bit deeper, and then eventually the harvest will come. So I'm not discouraged by it. I just continue to work on it and work on me, even as a leader. So what that goes to show you is that we all have challenges, we all have frailties, we're all human, and sometimes we have the same kind of challenges. Just like with weight loss, it's like, oh my goodness, I lose 5 pounds, then you think you're the bomb, and then you go out and you just blow it, and it's just like, oh my goodness, now I 7 pounds to release. So, but in having said that, I would say those are two of my major challenges that I've had. But at the end of the day, I'm still winning because I'm going to be resilient and persistent in making it do what it does.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for sharing that. So who would you like to work with as far as in the life changer space? What kind of businesses, what kind of people would you like to work with?
Okay. So let me just tell you my whole truth, and I can't find that little list. So, but the type of people here it is. I know you probably can't see that, but do y'all see these big companies on there? Do you see Bank of America? Do you see Dell? Do you see? I want to work with big corporations, but I also want to work with small businesses. The thing with wanting to work with some of these larger companies is that I know as I pivot into these different spaces, that gives me more affluence and influence to make impact. At the end of the day, yes, companies are about, building, and it's about profit. But the more influence that I have, the more I can do for my community, first of all. And even as a Black female in business, I want to bring other Black females into business as well. And then I also want to be able to impact community. I want to be that person that's able to say, you know what, we need to build a community center, or we need to revamp the community center. We need to have, a drive for this particular effort. I want to be one of the people that can just say, you know what, not only can I help from the financial piece, but I have other people that are in my circle that are willing to come together with me, my other colleagues, my other network, and they can help us get this thing done, because we know that there's strength in unity. So yes, I want to work with the big companies, but I'm also interested in working, with smaller companies as well, because I know sometimes before you're large, you need to make sure you get the kinks out on the inside for the smaller companies. So as you grow, you're growing, you have a firm foundation, especially again in that area of courageous leadership, knowing how to deal with those difficult conversations, even in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space, having those courageous conversations. Sometimes we don't say anything, even though we see something, because we're not courageous enough. And then we don't have the skill set to have that conversation. We've been doing things a certain way for so long that it's just like, well, this is how we've always done it. But that doesn't mean that it's right. And especially if you see there's a deterioration in relationship, you see again there's a great resignation, you see that you can't get good people to come in and to help you to build your company, then there's a challenge. So again, if I can start even in the smaller companies and helping them, and as well as the nonprofits, because people are people, okay?
Yeah.
So the nonprofits, the collegiate spaces, of course, and then those corporations. I want to come in and talk to them. I want to teach. I want to create these workshops because there are a lot of things that we need to really work on, especially in the area. We've heard it before, emotional intelligence. We go to a workshop and we say, well, I definitely need to look at myself. And then we look at ourselves in the mirror. And I might have said this to you before. We see ourselves in the mirror. We see that we have these challenges, that we don't know how to talk to people correctly, that we're holding other people back. We're not encouraging them to really develop their gifts. They're not being seen and heard in these companies. But then we walk away from the mirror as though nothing is wrong. And so no change takes place. My job is to agitate that in such a way where you get in a position where you say, you know what, I want to change. Because when you create these environments where people like to come to work, they love what they do, people are more productive, which means that your profit increases. We got to look at that. We got to look at the whole picture. It's not just about you investing in people. I don't want to do this workshop for them. Well, no, you help them grow, they help you grow.
Yeah.
That's what happens at the end of the day. And even if they leave that company, that's still somebody that you can say, hey, I helped to develop that leader. And that encourages you, say, you know what, I have a skill set where I can help develop leaders, I can help build leaders. And that is what leaders do. We don't crunch people down. We don't push down their creativity. We don't push them back in a corner. We encourage them to come to the light, because we all have a light. We need to help some people turn their lights up. So that is what I would say on that.
Oh, that's awesome, Lisa. And hopefully people can understand that by investing in the people, by having those workshops and allowing people to come in, that is what builds people. And I think I heard a CEO say that they were talking to their dad and they were saying that, hey, I got terrible people. And he said, they're giving you, what you're giving them. And so, so making those type of investments into your people by bringing people in, and especially somebody like you, where that's your specialty. That's what you're all about is leadership and training on that. And you have an objective. You have you're looking at that business from the outside. That person, that owner or president or CEO, they're on the inside. So they already have a thought about this person or some bias toward this person, but you can come in and just talk about the leadership from a standpoint where you don't have all those different thoughts about it. And I think that's awesome. So have you since you're doing this now and you had the opportunity to talk to various people, what has been some of the when you have the conversations, what has been some of the objections? What have been some of the things that people kind of get hung up on as far as being open to your services?
Okay. Objections in the sales call, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's right. Like, what has been some things that where you're explaining it, but that they get hung up on?
I would say one of the things that people get hung up on is, let's just tell it like it is, they get hung up on the money piece, because I think that they don't see the value sometimes that comes along with the opportunity. And that's what I say. I said, this is an opportunity. And so it's not to position myself as being arrogant, but everyone that has services, just like Walmart, whoever, they position themselves so that you have an opportunity to come in and purchase their product, right? It's an opportunity for you to do so. And although they might have sales and things like that, we still have to take advantage of the opportunity or it expires. So I try to position myself in letting people know this is an opportunity for not just for you to work with me, but it is an opportunity for you to see change in your company. But then when they begin to talk about the money piece, because they've not invested before or they've not invested on that level before, they kind of get sticker shocked. But then they don't, sometimes you have to help them to see the big picture. And that's when you deal with those pain points. So if you're going to continue to run down this road and you see it's going down, or the hill is going down versus going up, which is what we want business to do, go forward, go up, then you have to consider whether or not this will be an investment that you want to make, but if you want change. So again, pricing sometimes is one of the sales objections. And sometimes the other one is that people are in doubt. They really, and so that's a mindset that they have. And sometimes you can overcome those things through your sales conversation with them, but they have to believe that change can take place. And so that, pivots me into my particular framework, which is FACT, which is fact. Faith, action, courage, and tenacity. That is a mindset. And so when I talk about understanding, you have to get past fear and doubt, because I am still talking about courageous leadership, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, doubt will make you position yourself where you won't step out, where you won't bet on a change, where you won't, where you'll have so much doubt in your mind that you won't sign the contract, and you'll continue to have the same results that you've always gotten. So you deal with mindsets of people when they've not invested on that level, or they've not done it before, or maybe, and sometimes that's one of the reasons in the background, you have to cultivate relationship with those people. So, and so one of my pet peeves is, if I've just met you on Facebook, don't jump in my DM asking me about a sale. Don't, because we've not cultivated a relationship. At least try to build something so we'll get to know each other. And so that's part of the way that I try to work, even through that sales conversation with them, when they have this doubt, when they're wondering, is this going to work? Because this is a big investment for my company. Well, you got to think, because if you don't make the investment, if you already know that things are going awry. And so those are a couple of the challenges that I have. And then the other challenge, this would be number 3. And sometimes people just don't respond. That is a challenge. Sometimes they'll send, hey, yeah, let's chat about it. And then you can have a strong follow-up game, but sometimes you just get ghosted, so to speak. And so I say that to any coach, any salesperson. When that happens, what we don't do is we don't give up. And so you have to really have a strategy, even for coming back with that. Maybe you'll reach back out to them in, another 3 months. Hey, want to let you know I have a webinar that's going on that might be beneficial for your people. It's a free webinar. We're going to be teaching on, and perhaps I'll take, a piece of the pie of one of my, part of my method that I use. And then just teach and invite them to come in. And if they receive value from that, that is an opportunity for me to pivot back and say, hey, don't forget, I do have additional services, but still love to have an opportunity to come in and train and do a workshop for you, or, even just for your executives. Start with the executives, because the anointing flows down, right? Remember how you talked about how you're getting what you give? Okay, let's give better on the executive side as it flows down. And then as the people learn how to treat each other, how to manage each other, and how to be in leadership, then they change as well, meaning the people that you're in direct leadership over. So that's what I would say would be some of my challenges.
Awesome. Just like you said, I think sometimes people don't realize that spending out the money, how much it costs to onboard people, and you continue to help turnover, people leaving the job. That's a cost too, So last thing I want to say, because I know we ran over a little bit, but for people that's inside of some of those businesses that might hear this, that's inside of, I know you held up the card with all those other, the businesses in it, and also some independent businesses there too. It's people who work there, and they know that their organization, needs training on leadership. How do they get in contact with you? Tell us where you reside online, so they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website, so you guys are going to think this is a whole trip, right? So let me just preface it by saying, as I got out into the industry and began to do the motivational speaking and the encouragement, I labeled myself with this moniker, Lisa B, the life changer. And so when I end my conversations, I say, hey, this is your girl, Lisa B, and I am the life changer. My job is to help change lives. So that is the website that you go to schedule a courageous conversation with me. Then, or if you decide, hey, I want this lady to come in and do some speaking, then you'll be able to go there and do that as well. So that's Lisa, B as in boy, thelifechanger.com. That's where you can find me online from my website. You can find me on Instagram if you want to go just check me out. And that's Lisa B Life Changer. You can also find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is what I call my regular name, Lisa Blackmon, but you'll find me there listed as you know, as a leadership coach, because that is what I do. Of course, again, I do work as an attorney as well. So what I do is I try to mix the things together, because what I also know is that people sometimes need contracts even as they're walking through this leadership piece. And so we can provide that type of service for them as well. So we don't want to lose that skill set. We want to offer it as an asset to other companies. So again, LisaBTheLifeChanger.com. Lisa B, Life Changer on Instagram, and then LinkedIn is Lisa Blackmon. Would love to have a courageous conversation with you, because it does take courage, as E.E. Cummings would say, to become who we're supposed to be in this world. So courage is necessary.
Thank you, Lisa. That was awesome. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, William. It's been my pleasure.